When you're designing costumes, when you're designing a show, I should say, and this is a show like any other show, it may be a play or a musical or a film, but basically it's a show. You're involved really in trying to say to the people who watch it that the costume tells as much a story as a face or a word or a book. In other words, your costume is making a caricature. So it's telling you something about the people who wear them and about the storyline you're trying to take. And there are kind of stereotypes. In other words, what would be the general public's view of, let's say, a person of authority, which might be uniform, which might be army, might be police, might be, but this is an authoritarian attitude which people immediately clutch onto, that this therefore is either going to be a comic character, which it might well be, or it might be a heavy, or it might be a didactic kind of character where you're presenting an authority figure as something to hit at. And it's exactly the same with a stereotype of any sort. So you say, old lady, what does an old lady wear? She perhaps wears a shapeless cardigan, or she perhaps wears a headscarf, or she will perhaps have curlers in her hair. But the costume should tell as much of a story as, in point of fact, the words or the background or the music itself. So it's an involvement where a creative activity comes from all directions in order to, in the end, present that finished product. I think, going back to what we were saying earlier on, we're playing here with a character who has, in a way, is the magician. He's the man who's organising it. He's the man who's going to make everybody else jump. And you described him to me originally, and to me, immediately the word Dracula comes in my mind, who was a fantasy figure, but who was horrendous and horrific, but still had huge charm. Otherwise, nobody would let him bloody bite him. So he has to have that huge charm. So I think we have to, in a way, suggest that while he may be ugly, he certainly has sex. Yeah, in droves he has sex. So I think, we have to suggest we're playing the cod piece bit here, I think, with let's do the tight trousers, and I like bums. So, I think, the moment you suggest to me that you've got some guy here who's got a really nice arse, we're away with the mixer. So as I see him, this is the leather, this is the PVC, this is that hint of naughtiness, the hint, if you like, of M&S and I mean S&M, don't I? Sorry, beg your pardon. So that you can have real fun with him,
I've just taken this out of one of the moulds. This is an untrimmed rubber mask, one of the background masks. Obviously not coloured yet, and the eyes haven't been cut out and the nose, but you kind of get the general idea. All needs to be trimmed up. We've done quite a lot since we last saw you. We've done a lot of sculpting and casting of ears. This is a mould just drying at the moment to produce with something stuck in it, wonderful. To produce these rubber ears here that aren't particularly, they're not going to fit anybody, they're just to basically glue onto the sides of the masks, because it's very hard to cast the ears, because the cast line's here. So it's very hard to cast with the ears actually on, so we do the ears separately.
Are you confident it's all going to get finished? Is there anything you're worried about?
I'm always worried.
You've got 2 weeks, is that enough time, or is it going to be to the deadline?
I think it's going to be a few sort of late sessions at the end towards the shoot. But yeah, I'm confident we're going to get it done on time.
So he's got in touch with a guy called Gav Titus, in the biblical sense, as he put it, and he's going to come down and he does raves. So he's got like lasers and laser shows and lighting and everything you need to have a full-on rave. And I'm seeing him on the 24th. I'm going to have a look at his kit, and he's very kindly agreed to come down and just do it all for very little money indeed. I'm going to give him sort of expenses, really. Well, makeup's coming along. There's still a bit to do. but it'll be finished.
Tony's here, that's the first one that I actually cast. And it's absolutely terrifying, actually. I don't like this one at all. It's got, I don't know, it's very sinister in a way. But that might be good. I was going to give him wispy hair as well, but I'm rethinking that because that might just look just too scary. But I don't know. Don't want him to over-scare Bizzle, as it were.
We're shooting in the School of Art again. We're shooting in the same room that Final Hope was shot in, except that we're shooting a lot of the stuff this way this time, so it doesn't look exactly the same as the Final Hope shoot. So we've laid out some tables with some various games and teas and cups of tea and that sort of thing. We've got to put a load of posters up. There's got to be a bit of material go over that door, like a bit of a curtain. And what else? The dance floor. The break dancers, as I told you, they can't dance on carpet. So we were going to get some cardboard, but instead we found this laminate flooring in Wilko, and it looks really, really good. So what we've done is we've laid it out to look like a bit of a dance floor, and it's a good dance area where the break dancers quite happily do it. We've got a spare pack in case any of them come up, but they're adhesive, which means that they just stick straight to the floor. They're stuck straight to the carpet, and they just whap them back up when it's done. I'm just trying to have to make sure that I get the shots that I want, just make sure that I use the time. So it's like if I've got half an hour spare, then don't go on to the next section just because you've got half an hour spare, then use that half an hour to do another shot or a few other shots. The lighting should look really, really good. He's coming in like over many hours it is. So I'll see all that by about 7 o'clock tomorrow. What else? Dan's getting on with his makeup, Anne's getting on with the costumes. Not really anything we can, other than dressing the set, to be honest with you, there's not a lot to do now. Now it's just kind of finishing off little bits and then waiting for the shoot to start. It's a bit like a calm before the storm.
It's the Ryan to the Bizzle, so you better come and sizzle. Yeah, my man's got a big fat Bizzle. Bizzle, so you better come and sizzle. Yeah, my man's got a big fat Bizzle.
Basically, in theory, we want the light show looking like a rave, and then we sort of take it from there. Lots of smoke, lots of lasers, lots of colours and beams and that type of thing. And if I can fulfil my part of the bargain, then he's agreed to pay me 2 jam butties and a donut.
In terms of the rest of it, I wanted to keep it monochrome because the important thing is you concentrate on the apex of the screen, so that whatever's happening in the background has got to be a whole, not bits of a part. You know what I mean? Do you understand me?
Absolutely.
So you're making a kind of a background. It's a bit like scenery.
Yeah.
If somebody says to you when you've done a design, your costumes are wonderful, you've actually done a bad job. Because it means the costumes of what you've looked at. They're right when they are so, anonymous is the wrong word, so themed in that it doesn't protrude. If it protrudes, you haven't got it right.
So we're an hour behind, but it's okay because all we're doing this morning is just shooting the first pre-Bizzle chorus sequence, which, to be honest, is about 1.5 minutes, is it? Before Bizzle turns up. So a couple of hours to shoot it in various different ways. We haven't actually got in touch with the guy who's playing Bizzle yet, so Frick knows where he is. But Kath has gone round to, Scott has gone round to his house. We don't know, just his phone's just not. Hang on.